Welcome to part two. We're joined by Ellis. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. Winning. Really
Winning,
good.
mate. Doing bits.
Doing bits, that's it.
Speaking of doing bits, on my 46th birthday, old Fruity gave me some gloves. Come down my house when I lived on Moat Houseway in Cunning. He saw these gloves here for you. They were Gavin McDonald's when he fought Lee Wood. I went, all right. I watched that fight last night. He had black gloves on. So you can't lie straight in bed, Fruity, can you? So there you go. Unless they change gloves on day or they waffle the fight, but he fought in black ones. So Gavin, so I don't know what fight he used him in unless he got mixed up or anything, but if you still want them, get in touch and I'll let you have them back. As long as you come on in, you explain about why Fruity grasped me to the board and caused me loads of problems with Dennis. Well, he didn't really after a couple of days because Dennis calmed down, but all right. So there you go. You know, lame. Even you had a black pair of black ones on. What can you do?
Mm,
Right.
mm.
Rhino talk. Lazy Rhino against Parker. That'll be an easy one for Parker, won't it? Because look, Rhino's like a well-known journeyman, isn't he? He's just beat a novice, but Parker would be way too much for him. But David should get paid for that fight, wouldn't he? Really? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way I can look at it as a positive. He'd obviously get paid with all these names he's getting mentioned with, but I just need to talk about Dave Allen here, right? He's beaten an area level guy. You could probably argue that him himself is area level or maybe English. He's never been British, has he? Because he's never won the British. But you could probably say you could give an argument that he'd compete for a British if it was against a TKV or whatever, and he might be competitive. But throwing in these, Joseph Parker, even Wilder. I know they're throwing Wilder's name in there, and Wilder is a shot fighter, isn't he? But even the shot Wilder, you got to remember this is a guy that he iced Luis Ortiz a couple of times, didn't he? He did knock out fighters that not would trouble Dave Allen. Ortiz did trouble Dave Allen and gave him a boxing lesson, didn't he? And really beat him up. So I just fear that the public has run away with itself and saying they want to throw him in with these big names, it could end pretty badly for David in terms of him getting a bit of a beating or a bad knockout. Because there's one thing knocking out Johnny Fisher, who's a novice, and you can do it with the plodding work rate that Dave had, but going in with that level of fitness, that belly, and that plodding forward, not throwing, you don't throw enough punches for me against someone who's hitting you with concussive punches repeatedly and finding the gaps and slipping through his defense. He's not James. He's not the second coming of James Toney, is he? He's Dave Allen. I think it'd end bad, but yeah, at the end of the day, he'd come away from it a winner in life, wouldn't he? Because he'd be probably a millionaire, wouldn't he? So there's that argument. But no, he don't need to be in fights of that level. He's significantly lower than that. Maybe dining out on a British would be a good idea for David, I think.
Could the case be made that we could say that David's due a few good paydays for a match because
Yeah,
they were paying him chicken feed back in the day of throwing him in with fights that he shouldn't have really never really been in. So, in my opinion, I think if you get that Parker fight and get it a couple hundred grand, that's good, isn't it? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
we're giving him chicken feed, won't this fight? I think for Dylan White and Ortiz, both purses together were about 32 and a half grand. I mean, then you've got
yeah.
your stoppages off that, haven't you? So for me, it's in bad taste what happened then. But he would have to, and let's hope he's learned from that. So,
Yeah,
but as
if you're
regards,
asking me, sorry, Russ, if you're asking if he deserves it on merit, he doesn't, does he? You don't go into a top five in the world heavyweight off the back of beating Johnny Fisher, but does he deserve it on the way he's been hard done by in the past, not getting paid his due and stuff? Then yeah, he does. So it would be a bit of a bit. It would be a glory story, wouldn't it? Which we'd like to see, really. But yeah, it's not. It wouldn't be there on merit.
no, no, and what we don't want is him slipping back into that. Yes, Eddie, no, Eddie, three bags full, Eddie mode, saying, yes, please, Eddie. You know, like blockbusters. Want tea? Yes, tea. Yes, please, Bob. Yes, please, Eddie. We don't want that. because he get knocked about. If you want to see him, go for a British title, isn't that what he's always going on about? Fight that
Yeah,
TKB, get a British title, and then springboard yourself into a big fight like that. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
We don't
That's
want
the
to
right
see
way
him
to
just
go.
be donkey fodder for Parker, do we? To keep Parker active and Andy Lee, because Andy Lee is advising Parker. Zhang Okolie, your Derek Chisoras and Wilders and your Dave Allens. That's donkey fodder for Parker. When's Parker going to take a challenge on? And them other guys that Parker fought that were novices. Do you know what I mean? After the Joyce fight, he went novice, novice, fat man, old man, fat man kind of thing. And now Allen, he's been knocked about. I know Lazy Ryan has been knocked about. He's never in
Yeah.
shape and he don't throw enough punches. So he's target practice for Parker. I don't want to see that. I want to see Parker in a test. But since Joe Joyce lit him up, for me, he hasn't been in a 50-50. He's been picking and choosing.
No, he's been navigated well, hasn't he? And yeah, I think he's ready for a real test. A Caballel, one of them kind of ones. Or to be
Yeah.
honest with you, it was penciled in to fight Dubois, weren't he? So
He
and that
was.
got took away from him. So that was a step up that we would have liked to have seen, but and that wasn't his fault, was it? But yeah, it's step up time now, isn't it, for Parker? Let's see
Yeah.
what he can really do.
Yeah. What about a couple of people on social media is saying, "Oh, Rhino against Caballel. Listen, have a day off, will yous?"
Russ, I'll be honest with you. You know the names you reeled off who
Ivan,
Parker's.
who we heard of? Somebody on
Yeah,
Twitter.
the guys who Parker's beat on his little run. Your Zhang, Okolie, all these ones who he's got rid of. If I'm being honest with you, mate, they'd all beat Dave Allen conclusively. I think they would. I think Zhang, it'd be too much over 3 rounds with that big left hand. There's nothing Dave Allen's doing to trouble Zhang. Same with Okolie. I know they got beat and they were fat overweight men, but Dave Allen ain't got no Bacoli's on his record, has he? He ain't got no Zangs on his record. So let's just be real here. It'd be cannon fodder for Parker, I think.
Okay. Can John Coffey, the cornbread muncher, can he beat Usyk in this rematch? Yes or no? Ellis.
Well, I don't want to be Mr. Cliche, but it's heavyweight boxing, isn't it? And it is. So, and Usyk's going on 40 now, isn't he? So there is always that element, and Dubois is a big puncher, so there's always that. But I just think skills pay the bills. And do you know what? I actually watched the first fight last night. It was just absolutely outboxing him every second of every round. So if it goes anything like that, even if Usyk has lost half a step, which he might well have because of his age, I still think that'd be more than enough to do. Dubois, he was just bamboozling him with that southpaw jittery stance, and his feints are just fantastic, aren't they? They just keep you guessing. You must be knackered after a round fighting Usyk because he's bamboozling you with that hand. Going, am I going to go high? Am I going to go low? And he was peppering him with straight left hands as well. So I don't see it going any other way than a Usyk win. But Dubois has got that equaliser, so that could make it interesting. But yeah, I've got Usyk in that one, mate, 100%.
A lot of chatting comment section on my channel. A lot of people are starting to love Lawrence Okolie. I think he's a great fighter. Do you think he's on a good run now with these last two fights, two one-round knockouts, and he's carrying his weight, walking around at his normal weight, and he's absolutely destroying guys in sparring? Do you feel that he's going to come into his own as an heavyweight, Ellis?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a stinker in the past, and he had that phase as a cruiserweight where he was hugging everyone to death, weren't he? But the way I would describe Lawrence Okolie is dangerous. He's a very, very dangerous fighter because he's capable. He's wiry and tricky, but he's got like otherworldly power on he. That right hand is very, very dangerous and it's accurate. So yeah, I do think he's a live dog. But the caveat to that is we need to see him. We need to see him with a test, don't we? So and this next one, this he's got Lorena next, hasn't he? That is a live test because the fights that Lorena's had at heavyweight, he's nearly got him out of there. he nearly had Dubois out of there, and he nearly had that Justice Hooney, yeah, Justice Hooney out of there. I weren't sold on Hooney either. I weren't a big fan of him, but
Oh, yeah.
that Lorena, yeah, I watched one of your ones with, is it Kent or yeah, I
Ken,
think the Irish guy Kent before the Wardley Hooney fight, and he was big on Hooney, wasn't he? And
Kent nearly
I was
called it,
listening
didn't
to
he?
it. Yeah, I was listening to it, and Kent got one wrong on that. I'm afraid he said that you know Hooney ran through Lorena like he wasn't there. Incorrect, mate. I watched the fight. Lorena nearly had Hooney knocked out Spark in the first round, and then he nearly had him knocked out Spark in the last round. So it weren't Hooney weren't no second coming of George Foreman. He's the writing was on the wall for me, so I wasn't surprised when he got knocked out by Wardley. But yeah, that Lorena for Okolie. If Okolie can spark Lorena out, that is sending shockwaves, and then he's definitely in the mix, then, isn't he?
Mm. Kent had Uni to beat Wardley and he nearly pulled it off, didn't he, really, if he had got caught.
Yeah, I like Wardley. Yeah, he just keeps pulling it out, doesn't he? He was getting soundly boxed up. He was getting a beating, wasn't he? But that equaliser, and it's for me with Wardley, it's the way he comes across. He just comes across like a nice guy, doesn't he? And he's relatable, so that's what I like about him. But yeah, if he fights anyone who's got mustard on the punches and can box, I think he's in a world of pain, Wardley. But listen, not everyone's it's boxing. That's why I like boxing. Not everyone's untouchable Floyd Mayweather, are they? It's entertainment at the end of the day, and he definitely brings that entertainment. Does Wardley?
When we look back in years to come, do you know what the Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua saga? We were 14 years now since the sparring, aren't we? Is it 14 and a bit? Right. In years to come, when we look back at these two, between them, they've split $500 million, haven't they? Do you know what I mean? When we
Oh yeah,
look
big
back in
pot of
years
gold.
to, pardon?
I said it's been a big pot of gold they've took, haven't they?
Yeah, they took a big part of all that boxing, but when we look back in years to come, do you think boxing fans will feel a little bit let down, like we do when we talk about Froch Calzaghe, Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, Ricky Hatton, Junior Witter, those type of fights? Do you think?
Yeah, it really is. It's so sad because I mean, it's unique as a sport boxing, isn't it? Where the best don't always fight the best, and I think it keeps barbershops talking and keeps pubs talking because you do have these mystery conversations, don't you? Who would win out of Froch and Froch and Calzaghe, and who would have won out of Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis, and it does. You know what I mean? It keeps the air of mystery alive. But
Yeah.
end of the day, we'd be much more satisfied as fans if the fight's just happened. And AJ Fury's going to be one of them, isn't it? You know, who would have won. But now that they've been both bashed about a little bit, it's like it's lost its
Oh.
yeah, it's lost its intrigue, really, hasn't it? But yeah, we might see it when they're both past it, and they'll probably rob the bank again, won't they? But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Do you think, Ellis, that looking back at the careers who they've fought? I mean, we know who Fury's fought, but since he's come back, since Vladimir, he's had 12 fights in 10 years. And he's gone 9-2-1. We know he's been in with Usyk and lost twice. He's been in with Wilder and that. But against champions, he's gone 2-2-1 since he come back. But these are the other guys: Sarifi, Pianetta, Swartz, Wallin. We're lucky in that one. White, Chisora, and Garno. We're lucky in that one. Would you say them lot of tomato cans to say that we've had Fury up as this goat, and then he's fought them? That's
Yeah,
we've had in Fury's career. What do you think?
yeah, and the thing is, every great heavyweight, world champion has had a little sprinkling of tomato cans in there. They all have, haven't they? You know, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis. They've all had these tune-up fights and whatever, and you give them as a pass, get rid of them in a few rounds, and then they're in with another live dog. But with Fury, like you say, they have a way of conning the public to, yeah, I'm coming back. I'm having another fight. It's another Sefer Sarifi. It's this guy. It's that guy. Never heard of. And then it's only when they command their massive paydays. Obviously, that's when he'll jump in with a live dog. And they rolled the dice and got beat, didn't they, with Usyk? But Yeah, it flatters to deceive his greatness, Tyson Fury's, because um, again with that trilogy with Chisora, it's they're just filler fights for his CV, aren't they? They're not meaningful fights. The one that I can take my hat off to is the Wilder trilogy, and they were good fights and they were blockbusters and stuff. But yeah, for a career as long as what he's had, it's there's a lot of filler in that CV, isn't there?
Yeah, to say they're running around with goat t-shirts on.
Yeah, yeah,
And then we cross over to Joshua. He's, in recent times, Ngannou, Wally, Nilenius, Franklin, Pula, Povetkin, Takam, Eric Molina, Brazil, Charlie Martin, Ring Magazine had him down as the worst ever guy to hold the belt in the heavyweight division. Vladimir, pushing 42-year-old, Parker the Stinkinator, Povetkin and Pula, regular man. But he didn't fight. Joshua's not fought Fury, Wilder, or Ortiz. But Eddie Hearn's the best promoter in the world, or Eddie Hill. Hill.
yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, navigated through choppy waters, wasn't he? He's yeah. If you said even at the height of AJ's career, if they said to the fans he can only have two more fights and then he's retired, who do you want him to be? Two of them would be Wilder and Fury. That's it, isn't it? That's all we wanted to see really at one point to sort of settle the debate who's the best out of the three. And I think we'd have been happy customers, but somehow they've wheeled him out, wheeled him out, wheeled him out. All them Wembley gigs, they were still selling out 90,000 and whatever, and 80,000 against Povetkins and all these kind of ones. So they've had a lot of money out of boxing, and from a business sense, it's been nothing but a success. But it just leaves a bad taste in the hardcore fans' mouth because we want to see conclusive outcomes. We want to know who is the number one, and we've had that recently in other weights with Turkey coming on the scene, but we just didn't get it with the heavyweights, did we? In that little last 10-year spell. So yeah, it's been a shame, really.
You could say that
Well,
they thought Ruiz were a cream puff, couldn't one? Because Yarrow Miller pulled out. They thought he were a cream puff. They tried to sell that as this big fight, but it was more of a gimmick fight, wasn't it, really? And then they got another fat man in Ruiz. They thought, oh, this is an easy one. And he got done, didn't he, against Ruiz?
yeah, yeah. I think I had a few quid on Ruiz to it. Like the hardcores knew who Ruiz was, and boxing's a weird and wonderful sport in the sense that it's not about being body beautiful, is it? It never has been. It's not, you know, if you could click your fingers and look like AJ, you probably would, wouldn't you? He's got a bodybuilder physique, but that doesn't always equate to winning your fights. Boxing skill does, IQ does, and stuff like that. And I think a lot of hardcores knew a little bit about Ruiz, and he was probably hard done by against Joseph Parker when he fought him, and he was definitely a live dog in that fight, and he was hungry. So yeah, I think they did look past him really, and they had a big shock, didn't they, when he went down in Madison Square Garden. So
Eddie Hills
yeah,
had a big shock, didn't he?
yeah, he got
And
that one
in
wrong.
his dicky bow sat with his old man, Barry Epstein. So, okay, okay. Women's boxing, Ellis. Wait, does it? It looks to me like it's dying on its arse. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I probably share the same view as a lot of the other guys that come on here. I can't get into it. I don't know what. I don't know whether it's because they don't have the concussive power or the round structure or the lack of talent pool. Do you know what I mean? But I just can't get into it, and I sort of feel that's the same way about lower weight male boxing. I don't really, like your Galal Yafai fight the other night. I caught the highlights, but I wouldn't necessarily tune in to watch 5'4", 112 pound men. They're not the weights that I really get up for, if you know what I mean. And that's no slight on the boxing ability. It's just I walk around at sort of like heavyweight, so I'm more inclined to be interested in people around my own weight because you can kind of sort of relate to it. You know what I mean? female boxing again, I just don't really relate to it. It doesn't get my juices flowing. There's not. I mean, I watched the Taylor Serrano fight. That was decent. And when Shields fought what's Peter Fury's fight, Savannah Marshall, that was a decent fight because they both had decentish power. But no, I just for whatever reason, mate, I can't get off on the edge of my seats about women's boxing. So that's just where I stand. But yeah, I think it's they're trying to revive it with Jake Paul getting on the scene, aren't they? But we'll have to see how it goes, mate.
That Usyk's just got married, hasn't she? Lauren Price, is it, against that Usyk? Eero Sky are always pushing this woke culture.
Yeah, they're
all
like
over Sky, aren't they, at the moment? Oh, who cares? Get them off my TV when I've had my breakfast.
Yeah, no, they need to keep the rainbow stuff, and yeah, it's boxing, isn't it? Keep it. Do your talking in the ring and with your fist, and that's all we need to. That's all we need to know about, really, isn't it?
Want to go on to part 3, kids?
Yeah, I can do, mate. Yeah.
Part 3.
All right,
Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. We're joined by Ellis today. Has been a very good guest, and we'll get him on for part 3. Oh, red hot today, isn't it? Red hot. One, booyaka. One, peace out. Max, I want to see you. I want to get you a Boston Stranglehold. Pluck your rockabilly haircut out of your scalp. Pop, pop, bang. No, Max, seriously, mate. Stay out of the sun. Don't have Dennis dragging you around bars all day. You don't even drink. You know what I mean? Oh, Max with cider gammon for feet. Highland. Pop, pop, bang, Maxi boy. Oh, Hercules.